What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripes Show. It's the final countdown, Scott, to the regular season. We're like a week and a few days away.
Countdown. We're getting there, man. We just need bodies to stop falling. That's the biggest thing at this point. Bodies need to stop falling. But you know, at least there's relatively good news around the bodies that have fallen so far. Knock on wood. Could have been a disaster. Seemingly, we have avoided complete disaster with Gerrit Cole.
At this point, yeah, exactly. We still can have a season.
For what we know now,
we can still have a baseball season. There was a 24-hour period there where we thought, oh, this thing with Aaron Judge is going down the drain and Gerrit Cole is going to need Tommy John surgery. And at that point, see you in 2025. But that doesn't seem to be the case, which is good. Yeah, it's going to be busy for us the next 10 days or so leading up to opening day. We've got previews with all of the American League East teams coming out. As you're listening to this on Tuesday, I think. Today's Tuesday. I think we're putting this out on Tuesday. You're talking to Max in a little bit.
Yep.
Then Wednesday, the Baltimore preview with Eric RDT of Barstool Sports will come out. And then pretty much every other day from there on out to opening day will be Tampa and Toronto and Boston. Always good to talk to.
We got some regulars back.
Every March.
Got some regulars back. My annual message back and forth with Arden, and then we got for the Blue Jays, and then Kevin Weiss for Tampa at Locked On Rays. So good conversation with those guys. This is the first year that Kevin, I think, has been like less cocky. There's always been like a cockiness to like the tone in the way he talks about the Rays. I mean, rightfully so. They've been a very good team. This year he just feels a little bit more uncertain with how things are going.
That might be a bad thing.
Maybe. It's about the same, right? I mean, I think it's about the same. You look at that team. Obviously, their superstar young shortstop is no longer there and will no longer be there. But you take that away, and you have much of the same recipe that they've had in the past, where they've seen a lot of success.
Yes, and I talked to Chad Jennings of The Athletic for a Red Sox preview. And let's talk about Cole. He will not, in capital letters, N-O-T, need Tommy John surgery. Whew! And he will absolutely, quote unquote, pitch this season. That's the headline.
Thank God. And again, like we know how these injuries have gone in the past, but this one they've seen multiple doctors. You know, they've gone and gotten different looks at it. But
when did this Dr. Neil Atrachi become like
the
guy? I thought Dr. James Andrews. Like, when did the torch get passed?
Andrews has got to be like 85 years old at this point, right?
But people still see him. Like, his name still gets thrown around. I guess you're right. Like, in the 2000s to 2010s, if you saw Dr. James Andrews, you're done. You're done.
He was Dr. Doom. Yeah, he was Dr. Doom. But
apparently this is Neil Atrachi is the new Dr. Doom, and Cole is like the one man that walks out of that office and doesn't go under the knife. That basically, I forget what article I read. I think it was in the Post or something. They're like, virtually every visit to Dr. Neil Atrachi ends in surgery, and Gerrit Cole has escaped that somehow.
Yeah. So patients include Aaron Rodgers, Kobe Bryant, Tom Brady, Ohtani, Zach Greinke, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Charlize Theron, and Ringo Starr. Thank you, Ilya, for that.
He's the doctor of the stars.
Yes. He's so the fluid buildup that is causing, inflammation on a nerve. And that's good because then you can reduce said swelling, said
imagine
inflammation.
Gwen Stefani and Gerrit Cole sitting in the waiting room together. What do they talk about? The Voice?
Yeah. I don't know, but Gwen Stefani was not on that list.
You said Gwen Stefani, I thought.
No, I didn't. I said Charlize Theron.
Oh, okay. I heard Gwen Stefani.
Yeah. So good news around the injury. You know, as of now, again, like I always feel like I have to preface that, but very good news because he's going to be back. If this is the accurate diagnosis and nothing else comes up, it's rest, and they're still keeping the arm active. And
live,
then,
build it back up.
Keeping it alive. Yeah.
Yep.
I love how when we're
Arm
talking about the
exercises.
injuries, the guys are always referring to their injuries as like what they're doing is we're going to keep it live.
It's
We're going
team
to.
effort.
Judge is doing the same thing. Yeah.
Team effort
in the way that they're rehabbing and staying in condition from these injuries. So
I think that's a mental thing because for something like Cole, where he is definitely still in danger of, if one thing goes wrong, he tries to pitch again, like something could go wrong, and that's his season. If that could feel very isolating, if it's like only you dealing with it. So I feel like that we thing is a mentality that they try and foster, where it's like, no, this is a team thing. Everything you do, there's going to be a committee that says, yes, we're all in agreement here. So if something goes wrong, it's not, oh, Gerrit Cole tried to push it and he's an asshole and he now needs surgery. It's like, no, this was a team decision, guys. This is a we.
Yeah, well, they have so many people looking at this, which is good, because I don't want one or two people looking at this. I want multiple opinions. I want them to go outside the organization. I want a lot of people to look at this thing and hopefully all come back in the same direction. And that's seemingly what has happened. So big sigh of relief, no doubt. And then Judge, similar, seemingly precautionary. And you listen to him talk, if you believe what Aaron Judge says, it does seem like there's some they're taking precautions with the way that they're being careful with this thing, with the abdomen. They don't want to push it. And I agree with that.
I want to get to Judge. I want to get to Judge in a second, but first on Cole, he said, I think we determined that we just got a little too hot too quickly this spring. We progressed through the normal recovery cycle, but at a certain time we didn't get back to our baseline, which was kind of our target. So he said that over the weekend at Steinbrenner Field. It's a 2 to 3 month recovery total time. So we're looking at some point in mid to late June for a return. That seems realistic, right?
Yeah, I think so. I got June on my mind for him.
3 to 4 weeks of no throwing. Like you said, they're going to keep his arm live with plyometrics and arm movements. He will not receive a PRP injection in his elbow, just opting for rest and recovery over that 3 to 4 weeks. And Cashman has not ruled out placing Cole on the 60-day IL, which would definitely keep him out until May 27th. I almost hope they do that, so
why wouldn't they?
So they don't just try and rush him back. It's like, what's the difference between May 27th and June 5th? Like, realistically, like it's fine. If you tell me right now Gerrit Cole is going to make his first start on June 15th, I will sign up for that right now today.
100%. And they're going to need the extra roster spot. So the fact that they put someone on that long term, I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
There's no reason for them not to, especially if it really is no reason. If May 27th feels like it's going to be early anyway at that point.
Well, the only reason would be because it's a 2 to 3 month recovery. So people are like, oh, 2 months. So we could get him back before May 27th. But it's like, realistically, that's 2 months basically. I don't know. It just doesn't make it to me. It makes too much sense to put him on the 60-day IL. Then you don't have the option to bring him back sooner than that, which is kind of nice. You just don't have to worry about it. Mentally, we can all just be like, yeah, he's going to be returning.
Well, it's not like this is a moving target either. They're doing a certain thing, rest for 3 to 4 weeks, and then they're going to build it up. It's going to be however long that takes to build up. So if you have a date in mind after May 27th, which again, like May 27th would be on the lower end of the timetable, which never really happens, especially for pitchers, especially if your name is Gerrit Cole and the Yankees rely on him so much. Why not just put a line in the sand for, right, first week, second week in June, just call that out now so that he's got something to work towards. He likes that, and call it a day. That way you have roster flexibility. You have the ability to, add guys to the roster if you need to, and you're not strapped. You could even go out and sign someone if you needed to. So, it makes the most sense.
Let's talk about it. So I want to read something from Dan Zaborski, who does the Zips stuff for Fangraphs. I talked to Dan many years ago on the pod, at least once, I think maybe even twice. But he wrote, this was on January 19th, who the Yankees turn to if injuries hit is a concern. Clayton Beeter is next on our depth chart, and Zips is not at all enthusiastic by the possibility of him being the de facto sixth starter. It likes Chase Hampton a lot, but I doubt the team will be that aggressive promoting him in 2024, and the computer only likes Will Warren incrementally more than Beeter. If Zips is correct, the Yankees better pray that they don't end up with that many injuries from Luke Weaver. Wait, that many injuries, I think, meaning Luke Weaver would have to fill in. While they have missed out on some starters that they've gone after, they could certainly make another low-key addition or two. When running sims for 2024, everything blew up pretty quickly in the ones where the projected starters got a lot fewer innings than expected, giving the rotation fairly low floor for a team with good overall projection. And I think that is really the takeaway here, is that when the projected starters get fewer innings than ideal, things blow up pretty quickly. And already we know the guy who we thought was going to pitch 200 plus innings, make 30 plus starts, is not going to do that. So you're already stuck with a 6th, 7th starter for 8 to 12 weeks. And the guys that they're going to be relying on, Luis Hill, Clayton Beeter, Luke Weaver, Will Warren, all of these are question marks, not to mention the question marks like we've talked about in Cortez, who will get the opening day start, Carlos Rodon, did I say it right? And Stroman and Clark Schmidt. So I think already we're here on March 19th. Is it March 19th? Yes, it's March 19th. And
first day of spring, leap year. Usually it's the 20th, which is my brother's birthday. Shout out to Tim Reinen. Happy birthday tomorrow.
Happy birthday. So I think we're already seeing the worst fear of this Yankees rotation, and the opening day hasn't even commenced.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you go straight to fear. The Zips is low on my list for, how I'm projecting things. I will say that. But they're not wrong in the sense this has been a consistent theme. We've talked about this for all winter long, is that the depth opportunity that they had for the starting rotation was available, and they just didn't take advantage of it. That said, here we are. No longer is Blake Snell available, signed a 2-year deal with San Francisco, $30 million plus. When the luxury tax hit became a reality, I think all of us understood that probably wasn't going to happen, especially at that cost. Wasn't going to happen. They were definitely looking into the trade market to add someone if they were going to add someone at that point. I don't think Montgomery's an option at all at this point.
No, because
understanding
he's going to cost $25 million. Like, if you're going to pay,
they're not going to do it. So you're looking at of the guys that you mentioned. Obviously, they're the prospects. Beater's one that everybody got excited about early on in spring when he came out and had some good innings. I think the most interesting guy to me of the group that you just mentioned is Luis Hill. Luis Hill we've seen success out of him before he went down with the injury. He was a guy that I was excited for when he was in the system the first go around before the injury. Hard throwing guy. He's had location issues. That's been his Achilles heel pretty much coming up through the minor leagues. It does seem like he's improved quite a bit with throwing strikes. And I think he's got the biggest upside with a huge live arm. So I am interested in him. He's got some big league experience. He did well. And I wouldn't be surprised if that were the guy that they rolled out. And, is it a sure thing? Absolutely not. Not one name that you just mentioned is a sure thing. Luke Weaver is the furthest from a sure thing. But a guy like Luis Hill, at least you have a bit of upside in a young guy with a really live arm who is now a year and a half removed from Tommy John. So he's past that hurdle point where you can start to see the strength and guys really actually rebound from that. It's not like him coming back early from it. He's at a good spot. So I am interested to see how he does. He's got an opportunity in front of him.
Yeah, but I don't expect them to let whoever they have start that 5th game, call it. I don't expect that to just be the guy going forward. Like I don't expect them to be like, oh, we're riding with you through thick or thin for the next 2 or 3 months. Like it's going to be a rotation.
Unless whoever that is pitches well. And
of course, I think it's going to be you trot someone out there. If they do well, he gets another start. If they struggle, someone else comes in. I think that's what it's going to be.
And that's why, I expect, I don't know if he's going to be the first one. Beater may be the first one, but I think Hill is going to be he's in contention for that next man up spot. And yeah, if he grabs it and he has a good outing, his first one, he's going to get another one, and so on and so forth. So, I think at the end of the day, what the Yankees would prefer is obviously the majority of those guys that we just mentioned start, minus Luke Weaver, because he's probably going to be in the bullpen, start in AAA and get
what
their
if they
normal
do an opener
work.
situation?
It's a little, they would have to carry an extra guy in the bullpen then, which exactly like whether Luke Weaver's starting the game or he's coming in long relief, it doesn't really matter.
He's the bulk guy.
Yeah. Which is not exciting at all. Him throwing on the mound is not exciting.
You realize like that's a very real possibility.
Oh, it's probably the most real possibility. Yes. they did bring him back. So they like something there. They like the fact that he can go out there and throw the ball for, multiple innings and compete.
They better hope. Oh my God. If they don't get consistency out of the top of the rotation, which now includes Nestor Cortez and Rodon and Stroman, this first 3 months, this pitching staff is going to be so incredibly taxed. Just like the bullpen is going to be taxed. The fourth and fifth starters are going to be taxed, especially if you've got Clark Schmidt, who we saw is like Mr. 4 innings and then gets yanked. And then whoever pitches in this fifth spot is they're doing an opener. They're doing a bulk guy. It could get real ugly.
Clark
really
Schmidt
quickly.
needs to get past that. Clark Schmidt certainly needs to get past the 4 to 5 inning guy. He needs to be more consistent and get deeper into games.
He's not going to be more than a 5 inning guy. His ceiling is 5 innings.
I think his ceiling is probably 6 innings, but if your ceiling is 5 innings,
how can you say that his ceiling is 6 innings when the best pitchers in baseball pitch 6 innings?
Because he's got 9 pitches and he's added another one. He's got the ability to get.
I could throw 9 different
lineup.
pitches too. That doesn't mean they're 9 good pitches.
If you can get a guy, you don't need to have, you don't need to be going out there and throwing shutout ball to get into or get through the 6th inning. You just don't need to. So he's got the ability to do that, and I'm looking for another step from him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're just saying we're going to live with the fact that he pitches 6 innings and gives up 4 runs, like, okay, because that's realistically probably what it is. What do you at that point? What do you value?
That's
more?
a 5 ER. That's a 5.5 ERA. He doesn't have that's not him.
I'd say if he pitches 6 innings, that means he's being stretched into games, and I would expect him to give up at least 4 runs over those 6 innings. I am not high on Clark Schmidt at all. I think he's a very mediocre pitcher.
Okay, well, agree to disagree. I think he's going to be better than. I think he's going to come out here and shut you up. That's what I think he's going to do.
Okay.
Now I need it.
Now you need
now
it.
Now I live for it. Now I live for it.
Yeah, and that's tough. You're betting your life on Clark Schmidt. That's a tough way to live.
Yeah, I didn't want to, but the Yankees put me in this position. I told them to get depth. I said, get more pitching. Get more starting pitching on the major league level. They didn't do it.
Does the fact that Snell ended up signing the 2-year deal for, what was the final AAV? 32 million?
33, I think.
33?
Something like that.
Obviously opt out after this year, so he'll be on the market. Assuming he pitches well, he'll be on the market again next season. But does that call into question the reports of that? Was it like 6-year, $150 million that the Yankees reportedly offered Snell at some point 2 months ago?
I don't know. It's hard to know. I think they had some kind of an offer on there. It's a matter of whether they still had it out on the table or not at this point. That's more, what I'd be curious about. But he obviously took more money immediately with options, going to a friendly park, a pitcher-friendly park. So I don't know much more you can do besides win a Cy Young, other than show that you can go deeper and walk less. That doesn't really help you in a big ballpark. But I don't know what he has to prove on that. I don't know why. Maybe the pitching market is just different for next year, and he'll have more suitors if that's the case. I don't know, but he's got optionality. The AAV is up there, so yeah, he was definitely going to get more total money. But this sets him up for another long-term contract.
At what point do some clients start to get mad at Scott Boras?
I mean, I would be. I would be. I don't know if you saw the article. I saw it this morning, and I only read the very beginning of it because I had a dad's breakfast this morning at Kemp's school. That was
nice.
Kind of fun. Yeah. But there's some kind of a mutiny happening in the MLBPA. I don't know if you guys saw this. There's an athletic article that second in command is not Tony Clark, but guy at second in command. People want him out. They
want the guy second in command out.
Yeah, I think that was it. I got to read the article and we'll look at it a little bit more in depth. Maybe I'll talk about it with Max in a bit here. Give me some time to read it. But it's
Bruce Meyer.
Just the way that the offseason has gone in signing guys outside of the major free agents that came through that were signed by the Dodgers and the Dodgers alone. You look at total spending across Major League Baseball and it's way down. And I think there's people that are pissed off. And if I were Blake Snell, I'd be mad too, because you just pitched and won a Cy Young last year, a Cy Young, the top award to the best pitcher in the league. And you're sitting out here like begging for a job, basically. And
Well, that's
I
why
don't know
say,
how
so
much of that has to do with Scott Boras with unrealistic expectations.
I think a lot
or-
has to do with Scott Boras and how he approaches free agency and how he has to win the deal. No matter, it's more important that Scott Boras and Scott Boras's client win the deal than the client just gets a deal they're happy with. So let's
Did they
say,
win this deal? Did they win the deal?
No, and this is not it, obviously. But at a certain point, the season starts next week. So Blake
Right.
Snell's like, I'm playing this year. So what can you get me? But let's say that Yankees offer in January was legitimate, and it was a 6-year, $150 million deal. Okay, and now,
Which I'm sure there were opt-outs in there too. We don't
I'm
know
sure
the
there
structure
were.
of the
Who
deal,
knows?
but I'm sure there
But
were.
fast forward 2 months, and Blake Snell signs a 2-year, $60-something million deal. So he could be sitting there at Scott Boras like, I turned down 6 years and $150 million and not having to worry about this next offseason and all season this year? For what, dude? You made me say no to that offer. You made me hold out for a long time. You talked about how, once Yamamoto falls, once Shohei Ohtani falls, like you're the next guy in line. You're going to have teams over a back. No, that's not what happened. And is Jordan Montgomery, does he have a pulse? What's going on with him? Where is he? Does anyone have eyes on Jordan Montgomery? He was
Blake Snell was throwing for scouts the other day. That's where he was. The guy just won the Cy Young and he was thrown in front of scouts.
Blake Snell won his second Cy Young of his career, coming off a Cy Young season, barely got a job. Jordan Montgomery pitched his ass off for a season and a half and helped lead a team to a championship. And he's not even getting a phone call. Like, what is happening? What is happening?
It's crazy. And again, I need to read the article more in depth, but it has to do with the luxury tax. It has to do with the threshold.
Well, the Players Association can't do anything about that until the next CBA, and that's going to be a whole big thing. If players are going to try and rip up the luxury tax system in the next CBA, everyone be prepared for a lockout because that's what's going to happen.
What year was is it a 6-year deal? Do I remember that correctly?
I forget. I mean, we had like a pseudo lockout during COVID, but that wasn't over a CBA. I think the CBA was the year after COVID.
It was the year after, but how long is the agreement?
They're usually like 5 years. I think they're usually like 5 or 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
CBA lockout was 21. Yep.
So if we're coming up on a new CBA agreement needed in 2026, call it, and they're gonna try and revamp this whole luxury tax system and numbers and everything, that's going to be. Yeah, it's up in December of 2026.
So after next year.
No.
I'm sorry, after the following year.
There's 24, 25, 26. We have 3 more seasons of this current CBA. So then going into the 2027 season, that offseason, there's going to be a lot of shit happening if they're trying to really tear up the CBA. And see, what ends up happening is, this is why it's like time is a flat circle. Same shit, different day. All this whole big stink is made every new CBA. Everyone's like, oh, there's going to be major changes here, and then it's like a minor tweak to things, and then players aren't happy still because it was just a minor tweak, and then round and round in circles we go.
Yeah, all I know is that this free agency it's felt different. It's just felt different with the amount of guys that are still left at the table, and Yankees at some point are looking around. Is there a third baseman that wants to play? Anybody got a third baseman that hasn't signed yet? Because that might be a thing too.
Chapman did Chapman? He did sign, right?
With the Giants, right?
Yes, he signed. Yes.
Giants are just, like, okay,
Getting
no one wants to sign these guys.
Giants are picking up scraps.
They're not even picking up scraps. It's just like, these are not bad baseball players. No one else wants to sign them. So the Giants are like, all right, nobody else wanted to come to our team via like major free agency or even trades. Like, we're having a problem here. So now we just wait it out. Maybe this is Boris's ultimate plan, just to get everybody to the Giants.
They should sign Montgomery too.
That'll really piss everybody. Just get everybody. They'd have a really good rotation, actually.
That's what I'm saying.
They already have a good top 2, a very good top 2.
Just
I think both guys were 1 and 2 in Cy Young voting.
Offer the same thing that you offered Blake Snell to Jordan Montgomery. Why not? Right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he take it at this point?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he's got going.
All right, so finding good meat in the grocery store can be a bit tricky and unreliable, and maybe there's no butcher down the street from you like Scott and his best friend, the butcher. You don't have to worry about any of that with Good Chop. Good Chop offers fully customizable boxes of high quality meat and seafood delivered to your door on your schedule. All products are vacuum sealed and frozen at peak freshness, so you can stock your freezer and cook whenever you want. You can choose from over 75 high quality cuts. We're talking 100% grass fed ribeye, pork tenderloin, chicken, thick cut bacon, and much more. They offer sustainable and wild caught seafood too: salmon, Pacific cod, scallops, shrimp, and more. I made the ribeye that they sent, and it was amazing. So I don't know. Does Bevan eat steak?
Of course she does.
Is she a
She
steak
absolutely.
snob like my wife?
I wouldn't call her a steak snob. I'm definitely more of the steak snob than she is.
But you like a ribeye?
I like a ribeye. I'm a big New York strip guy though.
Okay, but so both of those cuts have fat on them. Leanne,
Yes, they do.
she only likes tenderloin. She only likes filet mignon. Very steak snobby, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so if I cook a ribeye, she sees all the fat on it. She just thinks that's inherently a bad piece of meat.
Oh no, that's
because
called flavor.
That's called flavor. That's what I'm
Flavor
trying to
Town.
tell her. So I said,
Marbleize my the meat Flavor Town.
So I cooked the ribeye on the grill, got it steaming hot, so nice char around the edges. I said, just try it, just see if you like it. And she loved it. She's on board. I think it was more just the idea of fat was turning her off than actually the taste of it, because a nice fatty piece of ribeye is just delicious. Good Chop sources its meat and seafood exclusively from American farms and fisheries, so you are supporting local family farms and independent ranchers when you use this product. The best part is Good Chop's price per meal starts at just $3.74. That's way more affordable than ordering out from takeout or anything like that. This is a great price for quality meats and fish with no antibiotics or added hormones ever. Go to goodchop.com/Bronx120 and use code Bronx120 to get $120 off across your first 4 boxes. That's $120. That's a great deal. Goodchop.com/Bronx120. Code Bronx120 at goodchop.com/Bronx120. Thank you, Good Chop. Appreciate it greatly. So Aaron Judge, we touched on it a bit earlier in the episode, but on Saturday, he opted to perform batting practice indoors. And Boone was asked when Judge would return to game action. He said, "I'm not going to predict anymore. I'm not worried about it. We'll see." This was after earlier in the week, Boone said he expected to Judge to hit on Friday. And if he did, he would be in the lineup on Saturday, which obviously didn't happen. Monday, Judge participated in outfield drills, but then took batting practice indoors after he was listed for on-field batting practice. And now latest reports are that he will play on Wednesday. I know you said this is precautionary for now. We're going to wait and see, but this is classic Yankees injury communication, where it's always, no, nothing to see here. He'll be fine. He's going to play this weekend. Then he doesn't play. Still, nothing to see here. He's going to play on Wednesday, not in the lineup on Wednesday. And how far before we're like, oh, right, opening day is in 2 days, and we haven't seen Aaron Judge on a field since March 12th or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah. So, again, like as they're saying it's precautionary. They're saying it's not a big deal, and they're just being more careful, which if that's the case, then I agree with. I want Aaron Judge on opening day, even if he doesn't take another live rep in a game, that's fine. I don't care, as long as he's healthy and he's able to play. That's really all I'm concerned about. But yeah, it's the test came back negative. That's the biggest thing that we're looking at. Like he got tested, they came back negative, and now it's just a feel thing, and they're being more careful, as they should. Honestly, as they should. If there's something that is biting a little bit or something that just feels a little sore, there's just no reason to press it with him at all. Because if you get to that point where all of a sudden now you're pushing something and it becomes more of an issue, then that's something that can absolutely linger for a very long time. So in this case, I'm fine with them taking their sweet ass time with getting him back up, because that's the last thing that the Yankees need right now.
Gun to your head, is he in the lineup opening day?
Yes.
Okay. Well, someone who's not going to be in the lineup opening day is DJ LeMahieu, who fouled the ball off of his right foot in Sunday's game. X-rays were negative, but they're calling it a bad bone bruise on his right foot. And this was the same foot where he had the big toe injury after the 2022 season, or
22, yeah.
22 into 23, or it was in 22, and then he had to recover. And then last year, 23 certainly didn't look right for most of the first half of the season. It wasn't until after the All-Star break before we even.
But he was healthy. It was more of
an
like an adjustment thing, is what it looked like. So, Yeah, concerning that it's on the same foot. Obviously, they opted to rehab the thing. He definitely did look more like himself, at the end of the year. And he's such a mechanically sound offensive player that when something that's in very much part of your mechanics from the ground up on his back leg is hindering him from getting to the same spots that he needs to get to, it's an issue. Obviously, it's an issue for him. He that's his game. His game is pure mechanics, spraying the ball all over the place and just being fundamentally sound. And it's hard to do that, I think, when you have an injury that is on your back foot, specifically your toe. So this one being a bone bruise, good thing that there's no break or anything like that. And it's just something that's like a deep contusion that does heal. They take time though, and they can be painful for sure. So it's a matter of him getting back when it's right. Because I think Boone said this, there was something about him. The last thing that they need to for DJ LeMahieu is to, if he's playing through something, and it seemed like Boone was pretty adamant about him not playing through something, probably because they saw bad habits form when he was playing through something with that back foot, and they realized how important that back foot is to his success and the mechanics that he has. So, they want him to be right and not to be hindered by that, because it does affect the way he plays. So I guess we're just hoping that this thing heals quickly.
Yeah, it's so that the Yankees might be the first few weeks, a month plus, with a backup infielder playing third base every day.
Yes, and we don't know how long it's going to take. It could be less than that, these are one of those things that a bruise, like it is what it is. Kind of takes the time that it takes. It's not like you can see. It's really more of a feel thing, I would think. But Cabrera, right? Oswaldo Cabrera is like the guy that you're going to see at third base. He's the one. Peraza's not available.
Yep, Cabrera makes a ton of sense because he can also just be utility backup in the outfield when needed. So that's the obvious choice at this point.
But here's the thing, very limited now on the infield depth, because something happens at shortstop. You need someone to play shortstop. Who's playing shortstop? Because
Oswaldo, and then you're sticking somebody at third base and just hope the ball doesn't go to him.
Right. So wouldn't surprise me if they are on, looking out in the market for some type of veteran utility guy that they can bring in for.
Who's still on the market as a veteran
minimum
utility guy?
I think I saw. Ilya, did you put in Josh Harrison? Is the name that I saw? Like a guy like that, I could see absolutely them signing and having on a short-term deal, minimum guy coming in and just kind of filling that role. Someone like that who's been there, done that, been on multiple teams, can adapt to a situation.
Those types of deals, they sign them, basically place them on the major league roster, and then the contract has basically, if we take you off the major league roster, you can opt out of this contract. Like we've seen those before.
Yeah, for sure. We have seen those. Donovan Solano's another guy that's out there. Rumored about Urshela potentially being available via trade. They signed him for $1.5 million in Detroit, and apparently he's not going to be starting. He's going to be playing that utility role. So maybe there's a second opportunity here for the Yankees to go out and solidify that infield with a guy like Gio, who can come in and we know who can play a good third base, but also has the flexibility to play around. And he can play a little shortstop too. I mean, when he was here,
an emergency role,
he can play a shortstop. He can glove it. The range isn't going to be what you want, but he can glove the ball.
What year was that where he did play like a decent amount at shortstop? Was that 2019 towards the end of the season? Didn't he get in, or 2020? He played at shortstop.
He definitely played a few. Yeah. You always ask me about years, and the answer is going to be, better than I do
it's more of a rhetorical
memory.
question. Maybe a listener.
Well, I feel the pressure to answer it. I feel the pressure to answer it.
A listener right now is being like, that was 2020, idiots. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, probably. I just agree with whatever you say when it comes to years. Oh yeah, that sounds right.
Last thing to touch on is Trevor Bauer is going to be pitching against the Yankees when they make their trek to Mexico City on Sunday and Monday. List of players going for the Yankees, or at least scheduled to go. DJ, but obviously he's not going to go. Juan Soto, Stanton, Trevino, Verdugo, Victor Gonzalez, Loaizaga, and then I'm sure a bunch of minor league pitchers, obviously. Trevor Bauer tweeted out that he will pitch against the Yankees in Mexico for the Diablos Rojos Mexican League I've also agreed to pitch 5 games for the Diablos between April 11th and May 8th in lieu of a traditional spring training period, as it's the best way for me to stay ready to pitch. This will help me stay in game shape, and I'll be able to join a rotation immediately if or when an MLB offer comes. Hope to see you on Sunday, and can't wait to show y'all what Mexican baseball is all about. Trevor Bauer's never getting back in baseball, right? He's not getting back in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, it's one of these things, man, where I think a lot of major league teams see off the field stuff, whether no matter where you are with Trevor Bauer, and the transgressions that happened off the field, because there are people on all sides of this. I think he's an arrogant, he's a, even you take away the things that happened off the field, like he's still kind of an ass.
He's baggage. He's so much baggage.
He's baggage. He's a distraction. He's the guy who also, fired a ball over into center field over like his infielders' heads. Like, he's just a loose cannon in a lot of ways. And I think a lot of people just don't see the upside for a guy like that. Does it surprise me that he signed with this team to play against the Yankees in with an attention grabber? Absolutely not. It makes a lot of sense that he's doing that. But, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say that people are signing it or not signing him just because of like the things that happened off the field, because Domingo Germán just got a job as well. So, you tell me that,
and Trevor Bauer is a 10 times better pitcher than Domingo Germán.
Multiple guys that have, bad track record off the field and just don't do good things off the field, that get multiple chances on the field. But I think that Trevor Bauer also comes with just a lot more distraction.
Terry Francona, who's definitely one of the more respected managers of his era, especially for managing a clubhouse, was not able to effectively manage the loose cannon that was Trevor Bauer. So I think that is a major concern for any team bringing in. Like, Terry Francona went out to the mound to take Trevor Bauer out of a game, and instead of handing him the ball, he threw it 300 feet over the center field fence. It's like, you can't have that happen. You
got guys ducking. If you look at that video, there's just guys ducking because they're just not sure if he's going to throw it at their face.
Right.
Like, that's the other thing with this cat. So, yeah, I don't know. Interesting. It'll be interesting. That's for sure. I'm curious to see how he does, but
I just love how he's like, I can't wait to show y'all what Mexican baseball is all about. Trevor, you really you're deep in the Mexican baseball culture. Trevor, you really are rooted in that. Like, tell me, Trevor, what is Mexican baseball all about? I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Fucking asshole.
He's the representative. The representative. Yeah. So we'll see what happens, man.
All right. That's going to wrap up our portion. You're going to talk to Max coming up. Like I said, Baltimore preview coming out on Wednesday. We're going to do, I think, then the Tampa preview later in the week. Early next week will be Toronto and Boston preview. That'll lead into our opening day prep episode, our bold predictions and all that other stuff. We'll talk about final roster and all that kind of good stuff leading into opening day on Thursday. 4 games in Houston, then a 3-game series against the National League champ Diamondbacks. That's not an easy road trip to start the season for the Yankees, especially when they're down Gerrit Cole. So should be an interesting couple weeks here going forward. We'll talk to you guys then.